everyone. That was some weird energy to come in with. I'm sorry.
Hi.
Like a pervert with a secret.
Mike, will you start us again, please?
Okay.
Hello,
No,
everyone.
we're not starting again. We're starting on the secret pervert energy.
Hello, everyone. It's me,
Hi.
the secret pervert.
Oh, that secret's out.
Hi, everyone. It's me. I've got secrets. The secret is that I'm a pervert. Don't tell anyone. I'll never tell.
What a great idea it was for you to start.
I'll start. I need to start, Kath. Okay, you'll start. Hi!
Yeah, who left the secret pervert stuff?
And here's the
Who
thing.
thought that was a good idea?
Here's the thing, everyone. I've slept. I have hydrated. I've taken my meds. Like, I have nothing to blame for this state of existence than...
Only your damn self.
Yeah. So, hello, everyone. It is I, a suddenly, desperately public pervert. Faced with the glare of societal indifference, I have decided to plug on regardless. Hooray! I am brave. Welcome to this. The 8U Trash Crew presents Star Trek Iskandar, a stream wherein we play the crew of the USS Iskandar on our adventures in post-Dominion War space. We are Izzy, Mike, Emily, and Kath. We are the crew, and we hot seat GM. We exchange who is controlling the nightmare that is this crew's impulse control. And for this adventure, we have been captained, both literally and metaphorically, by the delightful Kath. This is part 5 of So Shall You Reap, lovingly dubbed by crew and fans alike as Arrested Development, but with Klingons. If you have missed the first 4 episodes, that's fine. They're all on YouTube, as are our entire backlog. But before I hand over to the delightful Kath to do the things that Kath will do, I want to remind everyone that on June 19th, we as in the broader 8U crew, are hosting a charity marathon role-playing stream. Marathon charity roleplay stream. I don't know. Grammatically speaking, that sentence didn't work, but we're just going to ignore it and carry on. Which will involve 5 GMs GMing adventures over the space 24 hours. That makes perfect sense. We'll be raising money for humanitarian relief in Gaza. I will be GMing. It'll be great. And so will 4 other people. Ooh, information to come. If you are interested in playing, or perhaps even putting your name down as a stopgap GM, then the Google form for which is still available on our pinned tweet on Twitter at @ItUCrew. Or if you are already in our Discord, then just reach out to us via Discord, because the form is just a way of funneling people into the Discord. Because that's what everything is about in this day and age. So tell your friends, tell your family. If you're not interested in taking part, that's fine, because streaming is big and scary, but do consider coming and watching. It's going to be a right laugh. We're going to be raising money, and we will be matching donations up to £500, which is a lot of money. But also it isn't. If you think about it, what is £500 to an old pervert like me? I think I'm being told to choke myself. Okay, I mean, I will. I think not on camera though. I think we'll get demonetized. I think autoerotic asphyxiation is one of those things that they're like, nah, don't do that on camera.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't show your feet.
Yeah. No one wants to see my feet though. Like, truly, I do not have I do not have only feet.
Emily, you look like you're about to get your feet out, and I will literally choke slam you if you do. We're not allowed.
But that being said, for more images of Emily's feet or any of the feet of the It You crew, you can find us at onlyfans.com/ityoucrew.
I was trying to interrupt this before we got into Izzy going on a, ramble of, but what is money really, and how much does it mean to us all separately? But instead, we got feet.
I've never had a facial expression so accurately read.
I didn't go on a rant about capitalism. Instead, I went on a rant about feet. Like, basically, it's either going to be socialism or perversion. You get, sometimes it's both, but those are the two elements of me that you will go, hi everyone, welcome to Therapy with Praxis. How are you today?
Therapy?
The everyone knows that there are two genders, socialism and perversion.
There are two wolves inside you.
Yeah. But basically, of the two genders, I am gender fluid. Happy Pride Month, everyone! Kath!
No.
Do Klingons now.
So, far away from all of this, welcome back to So Shall You Reap. I can't believe it's part 5. There will probably be a part 6. Last time, getting first to that, the EU crew operates under a system of helps and hinders. If you wish to influence or impact the events as they are transpiring on the screen and as the adventure is ongoing, I encourage you to utilize minor helps and hinders if you feel like the flow of a moment needs to change. If you just keep throwing them at me, I'll just arbitrarily do random shit that I possibly was going to do anyway, but now it's worse or better. And also, obviously, we have those can be done for money or for the trash bags that you accumulate just for hanging out in the chat. I don't actually know how it works because that's not my department. But if you wish to have more of an impact with moderate and major helps or hinders, throw real life money at us and talk to me again. Last time we got bees. The bees are still there. So last time, or rather generally, as a general previously is the better way to put it, on So Shall You Reap, the crew of the USS Iskandar on the world of Hatoria trying to deal with a crop blight, which has been besetting this agricultural Klingon world. Investigations into it with the assistance of a young Klingon scientist have suggested that this blight may have been artificially created genetically somewhere out there and deliberately infected, presumably deliberately, then infected the planet. But whilst that's going on, there has also been efforts as the ruling Lord Ratek, Lady of the House of Ratek, has asked the acting commanding officer, Commander Tlandra, and her acting first officer, Lieutenant Kantos, to assist her in the succession crisis of the House of Ratek, set about by the accidental death of her eldest and beloved son and heir, leaving her 3 dirtbag children. And thus, Commander Thalandra and Lieutenant Kantos, as the arbiter and second of succession, have to make a decision on who they should, according to Klingon custom, recommend who should succeed, be it the potential war crimey warrior Kvek, the possibly a bit sleazebally hot air friendly face of Judim, or the socially awkward, reclusive, sulky scientist boy, Luth, who has been assisting the science department of the Iskandar? Or have they been assisting him, whilst also making plans on how to teach him how to be assertive for himself and or thankfully or regrettably, plots which never came to fruition of do the sad boys need to sneak attack Luth to try to make him learn how to stand up for himself? And also, which is then where we will be starting, as the Iskandar has also, whilst the world of Hatoria is not yet beset by massive famine. They are still feeling, our crops are about to, all supplies are about to run out and we're not going to get any more, and we're under quarantine. Things are a little bit tense, and thus the Iskandar has set up a little relief station near Calvin's Point, the major central settlement of the planet, with some security assistance and some medical aid and some big industrial replicators. And that's all been going fine, except for a little bit of maybe disagreement when the Klingon marshal beat the crap out of a Klingon peasant for starting a fight. But the Klingons seem to think that's fine, and that's how you handle peasants. I'm going to keep on saying the word peasants because it's infecting and upsetting all of the Starfleet characters. So, oh yes, and also previously Lieutenant Kantos got into accepted the challenge of Kvek, the eldest daughter of the House of Ratek, who did not particularly recognize these outsiders' authority to dictate the future of a Klingon house, and Kantos got well stabbed, but accounted for themselves pretty well in the fight, which is possibly all you can ask for when standing off against a Klingon war veteran of potential war crimey dimensions. But while this is going on, while Kantos is being stabbed, at roughly the same time, several miles away, on this beautiful, clear blue sky of day, it's thundering through the streets of First Point, loud music probably thundering out the back of this this space pickup truck. Dr. Arkady BUROV and Chief of Operations, Lieutenant Junior Grade Kowalski, are on a little errand to attempt to make contact with the local community leader, Bariel, and test the waters on how they can better directly assist and support the people of Hatoria in general and First Point in specific. With the dulcet tones of the Venga bus pumping out the window as Burov and Kowalski drive around in sunglasses. The big old flatbed truck is really what it is. Heads through the streets, the industrial replicator loaded up onto its back, and will pull up in front of a fairly modest of the houses on the opposite sides of this. This is the energy at the north end of the city. One of the shorter, more traditional. It's not a mud hut, but the clay constructed buildings. And having heard this huge fuck off flatbed truck coming, Bariel, the middle-aged Klingon farmer or industrial worker, farmer mostly, steps out front, looks at Burov. Delivery for me, Doctor?
Good morning. Oof, or afternoon. I can't remember. So, I know that there was a little disturbance this morning, which, just terrible. But we're not supposed to comment on things and the like that we weren't involved in. But it seems that there was some friction there about resources. This is Lieutenant Kowalski, by the way. He is our operations officer. So resources are sort of his thing. And we thought we would offer any resources that might be necessary to help prevent frictions in future. And then I thought, we'll ask people to come to the base. But then I thought, people aren't always super comfortable coming to the base. And so I thought we'd come to you with our resources.
You're giving me a industrial replicator?
Not quite.
Loaning?
We figured we could set it up somewhere around here, and you could direct it and help us liaise with the people for what they need. And then the resources would get to the people who actually need it, rather than just being sort of trickled down, because the trickling down thing never works. We learned that on Earth ages ago.
Okay. Well, you just mean the warehouse fight this morning?
That was fuel, wasn't it?
Yes, fuel and families.
True. But if we can help that by making there be... We can't help feuds between families. I know that. But you can ease the friction that's there if you just remove some of the things that people are squabbling over. I think people are frightened.
Well,
for a given value of... I think people are wary that there's not going to be enough. And so...
Oh, I'm not getting prickly about your choice of words, of feelings that you're using here. I would just say that we tend to deal with our problems, I think, somewhat differently to how Klingons, how non-Klingons do, how Federation does.
I mean,
we always like
certainly
to be busy and to be doing things. So sure, there was a fight this morning because Kinect figured that someone else was using fuel that he could use to plow his fields. But what's the point? His fields are blighted.
True.
So...
Oh, sorry.
There's always going to be some sort of outburst with our people when they can't work. We can give them resources. We can cut down maybe on them turning against each other. And for old bitterness to come first, and this will help, Doctor. It's a good idea.
People around here, they have vehicles to plow their fields, to transport their crops and things. But obviously the fields are blighted. There are a lot of locations around the city, correct? The towns.
Yes.
The farms,
Yes.
If the problem is that a lot of people are kicking their heels and not sure what to do and feeling at a loss, we could always overproduce certain necessary resources for a life. The food rations, the everyday things that aren't necessary but are helpful. You know, having... I've no idea what the atmosphere is like on this planet. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it...
It's kind of warm Mediterranean, bit further north than that, kind of.
Making sure people have the temperate climate that they need, or the not temperate climate that they don't need, and all that. Could we not oversupply fuel to certain of the farmers and have them move some things out of the city? Repurpose their farm equipment for relief delivery and make them... Well, not make them, but see if they will help the community by driving out. It will give them something to do of a day. It will help them feel connected to their fellow Hitorians. And will stop the idea that people are stagnating in a town without anything to do.
Well, we're going to need to ship anything from here out to the other settlements.
Of course, it won't be viable for settlements on the other side of the planet, but at least for the local area, it would...
Most are within a few 100 miles. Yeah, I can get started in rallying some people and putting them to use. That's a much better suggestion. If all you did was give us things that we don't have, what we need is purpose.
Exactly.
I would have said.
That is why, rather than just making more fuel and saying, come get more fuel, stop fighting, I thought it would be best to come to you, because then you can tell us when we're a little bit off base. Because we're not Klingons, we don't understand. We're not Hitorians, we don't know your life.
We are Klingons before we're Hitorians.
Oh, that's why I said Klingons first, and then you know the struggles of the people who live on Hitoria.
Yeah. Okay.
Could I ask you to liaise, be our coordinator, and literally just give us a list, and we'll produce... I imagine there'll be a lot of fuel needed because people will be doing a lot of traveling. So if you can tell Lieutenant Kowalski the sort of fuel that you use, he can replicate up a whole bunch lickety-split, because we'll definitely need that.
All right. I can get to work on that. Figure out who's got what and and which troublemakers are gonna need to be kept busiest.
I knew I could count on you.
Your comm badge goes.
Oh,
with who's going to be sending this message? I guess it's probably Light.
Oh, excuse me, just a moment. Lieutenant, if you could take over. Dr. BUROV here, go ahead.
This is Dr. Light. Lieutenant Cantos has just been given an emergency transport to sickbay. And whilst I am able to attend with the matter, I thought that you would wish to be informed.
What's the situation?
They have been stabbed in a fight.
I'll be right there.
Their wounds are non-critical, but I thought you would wish to be informed. Very well.
Lieutenant Kowalski, do you have the situation in hand here?
Yeah, sure.
Do you need me?
You got a problem? Just go for it.
Thank you. And Bariel, thank you so much. You have been tremendously helpful. I hope we can be helpful in turn.
You have a thing, go.
Dr. BUROV want to be my...
So, cuts to the Iskandar. So Talandra and Cantos have had their emergency beam to sickbay. Because you can do surface point to point on the surface perfectly safely because you don't need to go through the atmosphere. And so yes, Cantos materializes on that main central sickbay bio bed. Talandra, a bit back. Light comes to existence, goes to Cantos, does a quick check over, which ascertains that Cantos is non-critical, and thus informs BUROV. And just as Light is conducting further initial emergency scans and examinations, BUROV materializes in sickbay as Cantos, with their shoulder pretty nastily fucked up, but any significant bleeding has been gotten under control at this stage. Is lying back on the bio bed.
Adina, what happened?
Got into a fight.
Look at me. You look so pale. How'd you get into a fight? Why did they fight you?
Quebec weren't happy about the succession stuff, and so thought the best way to deal with it was a fight. In fairness, I signed up for it. It wasn't like she just jumped me. Seemed like a good idea at the time.
Of course it seemed like a good idea at the time, Adina. Everything seems like the good idea at the time because you don't think about the consequences of your actions.
The lieutenant suddenly has a broken collarbone, so I'll see about acquiring the osteogenic stimulator.
Thank you, Doctor. Oh no, carry on, Doctor. Oh, look at you.
I guess if Light's just doing the medical stuff, Light kind of moves around with occasionally leaning in that passive aggressive way if they perceive BUROV to be in the way.
Oh, she cut your face. She cut your beautiful face.
I'd say you should see the other girl, but nah, just didn't come off as bad.
The lieutenant's facial injuries are very minor. An auto suture repair kit will conduct the healing perfectly capably.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Light. I do know that.
Plus, hey, people dig scars, right?
There will be no scar once I have finished applying the equipment.
Temporary scar.
Temporarily, I'll have
okay.
yeah.
I'll be charmed by it.
Dashing scar along
I'll be charmed by it until it's fixed.
Thank you.
Dr. BUROV, if you are not going to take over as primary caregiver or even secondary, might I ask you to be charmed 6 feet back?
Yes, Doctor, of course, Doctor. You. No more fights with Klingons. I order it as Chief Medical Officer. You people.
Yes, Doctor.
I've been on the surface trying to engage with everyday Klingons, and you're out there slapping
I'm
fights in the
also
building.
trying to engage with everyday Klingons. Everyday Klingon behaviour for Quebec to fight people.
I hardly think that the daughter of the local lord is everyday Klingons.
I'm pretty sure fighting is a thing she does every day, though. And she is a Klingon.
Okay.
Therefore.
Oh no, look, it's unfortunate you have to go into the pod now, Dina. Okay.
It's not necessary. The auto suit
No,
applies directly, and then I will...
I understand, Dr. Light. It's much safer if we just keep them under the pod for now.
Dr. BUROV, 6 feet away if you are to not be a primary or secondary caregiver in this situation.
Yes, Dr. Light. Yes, Dr. Light. Of course, Dr. Light. Your patient, Dr. Light.
I'm going to begin applying the osteogenic stimulator, Lieutenant Kantos, and then I will conduct a thermal regenerator upon the skin damage. So
know.
I don't really know what stats are, but I guess they've got a +4 in medic.
Yeah,
sounds about
probably.
Their high stats are rapport and medicine.
I guess red is bad because red is blood. This one. They don't succeed.
Well, red.
They don't succeed on the severe. As they roll a -1.
Succeed at a cost.
Yeah, I guess.
Take out.
When you say roll a -1, as in like the dice have given a -1.
The dice have given -1, so they only got a 3, but they need a 6 on a severe.
Oh, of course, yes. I guess Quebec fucked Kantos up a lot more than Light thought.
Yeah, okay. So Dr. Light begins to apply the osteogenic stimulator, and then we'll pause.
See, I would have stepped in, but I didn't realize they'd be rolling. So like, I thought it was just the scene.
This is in hand, and we are role playing this.
No. If I'd known it was rolling, I would have put Arcady in. But oh well.
We'll pause. Examine.
I don't like that. Is everything?
On examination, it does seem as if there has been minor splintering of the bone, and thus a simple direct osteogenic applying the osteogenic simulator directly will not suffice. There's possible a certain amount of rebuilding work upon your collarbone, which will be necessary, which is a minor procedure, but it will take a matter of hours, I would anticipate. However, I can present you with a cast an osteogenic stimulation cast for you to wear for a period. However, let me see to that facial laceration. Come on, Dr. Light. Light rolls -3 on the dice, so that is a 1 in total, which is not sufficient.
Oh, no. Guess Kantos is going to get that dashing scar after all.
That's the cost, I guess.
Oh no, how terrible. I will have a dashing scar.
Jesus fucking Christ. You know what? You've got like I'm spending one of my NPC goddamn fate points with the situational aspect of well-kitted out infirmary. Because I'm mad on Dr. Light's behalf.
I don't know, do you want to save that for the moderate injury as well?
I can do both. I'm doing both now.
Fair enough. That's why I can't see the injuries, because I'm looking at the other one.
Okay, the face is still not getting fixed. No, Dr. Light cannot do this. Dr. Light is incapable.
Okay. Doctor, stand down. Doctor, stand down. I've got this. Go
Level of physical trauma appear to be quite significantly. I am going to attempt to conduct some recalibration of our scanning devices and consult any of our wartime records from the Klingon Federation War to assess this damage.
Let me step in. I'm calmer now. Arcady returns with a cup of tea and just goes, Oh, Dr. Light, stand down. I'll take over from here. Right. Have we learned something about kicking off fights with Klingons? Do we promise not to kick off any more fights with Klingons for at least a week?
I promise not to start any fights with Klingons for at least a week.
Accepted.
Though she started it this time, so
No,
I technically
no,
haven't
no.
I still never started a fight with a Klingon.
Oh, look, the biobit's coming down again.
Okay,
oh,
I guess.
Right, what can Arcady do?
You can have a go. It is a. You only need a 2 to fix the facial injury. You do need a 6 to assist in the repair. You can, however, you know what? Just roll a medical check to. Let's be real smart about this, because I've started now using the system, so we're going to keep using the system. So you're going to take your time and study this situation, run all the scans, etc., while this hologram, which can't do anything. So make me a medicine roll.
Is this just assessment?
This is you assuming that you can succeed at the roll, creating advantages ahead by taking your time. You get a 4, excellent. You now have created advantage of thoroughly diagnosed, of created this advantage on Kantos, which means that you have the equivalent of a freebie, a free +2 or reroll on any of your ensuing attempts to roll.
Like, I think Arcady's mostly going to be focused on the severe one.
Mm-hmm. I think you get 2 if you've succeeded by that much. Oh no, you've just succeeded. Wait, you got a 4, you needed a 2. Yes, you've just succeeded, not succeeded with style. Okay. So, which are you facing first?
The severe.
One,
severe.
The severe. Make me the roll then.
I will.
You need a result of +6.
Oh no.
No, I got a +6.
Okay.
Like, I got
Yeah.
a +6. Like, it's perfect.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. You can see about applying the osteogenic stimulator. It will take a little bit of time, and what we can, Emily, you can change the name of your consequence to show that it is in recovery, which can
Bruised
be
shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay. No waving for a while, but
Okay.
That will not go away until the end of the episode, not the session, the episode. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it should be okay. If it continues to hurt later today, I can give you an analgesic. But apart from that, it's healing. Use it sparingly, but don't go fighting any more Klingons. If a Klingon picks a fight with you, just say, Dr. BUROV says I'm not supposed to fight because I have a sore shoulder. I have a note from the doctor. And then
might need a note then.
I will make sure you have a note attached to your record. You can show them anytime, and you can send them to me.
I will do that.
And the face.
Right. The last go at... Right, now keep still. I'd say +2.
That's enough.
Exactly enough.
That's enough, exactly. So, technically speaking, you would need to rename it to just something like, freshly healed, but that will go away at the end of the scene.
Okay.
For a minor.
I can't feel my face.
Like tingly cheek, but it'll go away at the end of the scene. And then that consequence box is free for you to reuse, whereas the severe one, you can't use it again for any further injuries, and theoretically, Kvek now has free invocations to use against you if she wants to rough you up.
Just come up to you and jab you in the shoulder.
Or anyone else can do.
If the Klingon lady wants to come over and stand on my shoulder, then I guess that's what she's doing now.
What else could evoke it with fate points? But Kvek gets that one for free.
I mean, it's Dr. BUROV, so I think what happens is the scene ends with Dr. BUROV having healed the scar, and then just leans in and just kisses them on the cheek and just goes, "All better."
See, that's the kind of bedside manner that you couldn't quite get with from Dr. Light.
No. I should talk to him about it. I think it works.
I think, yeah.
Dr. Light is frantically running a self-diagnostic in the next room. Jesus fucking Christ.
Dr. Light was clearly set for emergency medicine, not for long-term care medicine, and so like everything he'd done would have been fine if like Kantos were literally still like bleeding out and hadn't been like first aided and brought in. Like
yes, I think as Kantos is kind of getting off the bed to then go see what else has happened while they've been getting stitched back up. They'll kind of give Arkady a one-armed hug with the good arm.
Arkady will then press the cup of tea into Adina's hand and go, necessary next step.
Necessary next step. Very important part of the healing process. And take a sip of the tea.
Now, ideally, I would like to tell you to spend the next few days just taking it easy. But I think instead I'm going to have to say, go and solve a crisis of Klingon nobility succession. Which
I'll take the days after that easy, though. Once the Klingon nobility stuff's sorted.
And seen. And now you can remove that entirely as Kantos can feel their face again. I think then it would make sense if everyone reconvenes down in the science labs, or everyone who wants to be. So I think really this means Talandra and Kantos can join the Sad Boys and Luth. Well, or Emily can choose if Kantos is or is not there, or if Strange is having a piss. Like,
I mean, to be honest, Talandra can be down there, and then Kantos can arrive during the scene. So then Emily can be.
Yes. So yes, cuts to the science labs at which Lieutenant Casey Lieutenant Casey on Luth have, the displays up as Casey just finishes explaining of the after the genetic sequencing upon the macrame has indicated that this fungus was deliberately created on a genetic level. It has just been a direct alteration of something referred to as the Vondam strain from Orion territory, and is now being just directly manufactured to be this. Luth also adds, from our examination of the samples gathered from 4 separate regions, in addition to the samples gathered here at First Point, I would surmise that the outbreaks occurred almost simultaneously across the different regions, which only lends further credence to their suggestion that this is not something which escaped some laboratory somewhere by accident. This was deliberately created.
Coordinated.
To infect here. I'd also add there is no there are no facilities on this planet capable of genetically altering the mycelial like this to create this mutant strain.
Which is bad news.
Yes, thank you for that synthesis, Lieutenant.
The good news is that I believe this can lead us to a solution. Lieutenant Casey and I have obviously discussed extensively what antifungal pesticides can be deployed, and whilst most of them I believed would be inadequate, I have identified that there is a regional insect, the guhua, pulls out his little sample tub of this dead, huge fuck-off bee. It does appear to consume the mushroom, the fungal spores. I think it is possible that if we attempt a robust pesticide deployment utilizing the terraforming systems already upon the planet. And I would also very much accept the assistance of Lieutenant Casey in figuring out how to safely introduce these hives of the Gurwa across all regions. There is not a great amount of biodiversity upon Hattori because it is a terraformed world, so I do not anticipate any significant risks of us introducing the Gurwa to agricultural regions, but obviously it does well to be cautious about such measures. I believe that they would be able to eradicate any further remaining TUGH'NON.
Are there any potentially sterile strains of Gurwa that you could introduce that will not breed exponentially and ruin the local ecosystem?
Well, I'm sure that utilizing the facilities here, we could genetically alter some and create a necessary ones for deployment.
That doesn't fall under Starfleet's squick about.
If it does, it doesn't here.
Is it more like a GMO crop?
Yes, it's more like a GMO crop under the circumstances, because it
it would be more like a selective breeding accelerate process. Okay.
And also, it's not eugenics, which I think is it's not eugenics, and you're not in Federation territory.
Look,
so
we both know that that law was written before modern science was a thing, and Star Trek doesn't always be like, that's bad. It's like, it's not though. We do it all the time.
Yeah, and also I think my intellectual interpretation of that is, don't create super people. That's bad for society. Rather than don't create bees which ain't gonna breed with one another.
Okay. That is that was my only concern. But my next less immediate concern is certainly the notion that this was a deliberate action.
Yes.
I believe that this will have been brought here from off-world. We can consult what records we have and also liaise. Well, we can consult what records we have of what ships may have been conducting deliveries which could have feasibly reached all 4 regions within the time span. Especially
been a certain number of ships, if we can trace their paths.
Then we may be able to trace the ship. That should be a relatively elementary process, and see if anything stands out.
Yes.
Also, if we can identify if anything in particular was shipped to all 4 regions in that period.
Continue with the work on the Gurwa. I shall get into contact with Mehed.
Oh, I can get that done, Commander. Of course, you need to, I'm sure, see to what's the matters my mother has expected of you.
Oh, of course, yes.
Lieutenants Cantos and Ensign Strange have been most capable on the matter of the TUGH'NON.
No.
Sorry, did I get it wrong?
No, I got it wrong. I thought I was strange.
You got it differently wrong, Casey. You had Lieutenant Cantos.
Oh, God damn it,
Yeah.
Casey!
I knew there was something wrong, but my brain was like, Ensign's the wrong word.
You just named both of my characters. Mike
really
has had nothing to do with this, apparently.
No, I really want Casey to be like Lieutenant Strange, and then I'd be like,
Yeah, that's what I thought you were doing.
Yeah, we can make that part canon, and then oh no.
Lieutenant Casey and Ensign Strange have been most capable in assisting the matters of the investigation of the TUGH'NON. I can't hear it. God, did anyone else hear Izzy? Oh, okay. It's just you just suddenly went silent. Yeah. You're good. You're good.
when they are at their best, they are an exceptional team.
I'm glad to hear it.
Are you? No, Karen.
I was simply going to say, as such, of course, I understand that there may be all sorts of matters in the arbitration of succession, but I'm going to intend to be exceptionally busy trying to resolve the problem on this planet.
Of course, I understand that it will be necessary that you are present. the situation has advanced somewhat beyond where it was before. Kvek fought Lieutenant Kantos.
And what's the status of Lieutenant Kantos?
They are in sick bay.
Ah. I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, there was absolutely no doubt that Kvek would win.
Yes.
But I believe the matter was that Lieutenant Kantos put up a good enough fight.
Ah, you played her game. I don't mean that critically, Commander. That's just how she'll see it. That's how many Klingons would see it, truthfully.
Given the circumstances at the time, there were very few other options.
I understand, obviously, you need to give this... Your role requires you to give all these traditions their due consideration and follow through on them. I wouldn't want to tell you how to conduct yourself as the Arbiter. Sincerely, Commander.
Loth, I will not lie. I find Klingon traditions to be somewhat difficult to follow. I understand the core principle involved, but it is anathema to how I do business.
I think very often the core principle is pride, Commander.
I understand the idea of pride. I have worked with humans all of my life. But it is not something that I feel I understand. It is quite telling that of the 3 children of Ratek, the one that I find it easiest to talk to is the one that people say is the outsider.
The least Klingon.
I would not say that. You have acted... I would not say that. You are a Klingon.
Biologically, and I believe I am a Klingon. However, it takes more than 2 hearts to make a Klingon.
Perhaps.
And as I am not anticipating that any songs will ever be sung of my work, I would rather work.
I would not say that I am an excellent singer, but I shall certainly commend your actions.
Thank you, Commander.
Sorry, I'm aware that I didn't end that sentence very well, and then I was like, I'm just going to stop talking, but I'm aware that it sounded like I was going to keep going. I would certainly commend your actions.
Thank you, Commander.
And that being said, I shall ensure that when it is required that you come and at least speak in your mother's house, I will give you ample warning and take up as little of your time as possible.
Thank you.
I do understand.
Well, in which case, if...
Of course. She stands up.
I will file the request from the spaceport for us to receive the data on incoming ships. If Ensign Strange, you want to conduct any analysis of that, as you'll doubtless have a better idea of the logistical concerns about them shipping everything about. And Lieutenant Casey, shall we see about genetically altering some bees?
Absolutely.
Talandra recognizes in Casey the absolute brightness in his eyes as it's like, ooh, aki dokie.
Bit of casual bee splicing, don't mind what I do.
Ensign Strange, please keep me informed of any developments regarding the logistics of the planetary deliveries.
Commander.
Carry on, gentlemen. Talandra leaves.
Okay.
Talandra leaves and goes, I don't want to go back out there. I want to stay with the science, but I understand where I am with the science, boys. So sad. Such science.
I'm not sad. I'm just slightly passive-aggressive.
Yeah, which for a Klingon is basically maudlin.
Yeah.
By Klingon standards, you're one of us sad science twinks, and I'm afraid that Lieutenant Commander Talandra's family has a long history of collecting them.
Yeah, also, I want to talk. Let's not sad. I am not a proper Klingon. I
would say I'm not a proper Klingon.
I'm different to the others. They would not accept
I will devote myself to my work.
It takes more than 2 hearts to be a Klingon.
Yeah,
Songs will not be sung of my deeds, but I do them anyway.
Crawling in.
I love
Yeah,
you,
see,
Lo.
he's a little bit more like...
Oh, he's a bit of an edgy sad boy.
Yeah.
I think you couldn't have a sad boy Klingon without them being a bit edgy.
Yeah, he's the edgy end. He's not just the full, like...
He's
I
the
can't
emo
think of the...
punk end rather than the gothic
Fully,
poet
just
end.
emo. Yes. See, I always think of emo as sadder, so, yeah. Anyway, before we start to define our science twinks by music and sad boys by music genre, I will allow... In fact, let's just keep this quickly, OC, before I force you into a conversation where you may not have any ideas. For team succession arbiters, do you have any specific further plans of what you're going to want to do other than conduct the Jachuk to demand all three come publicly with flaming sconces and shit say their pieces? You are more than welcome to make shit go wild.
So I can't think of anything else to really do with Kvek. I think she's kind of taken care of by
leave her the fuck alone. I'm gonna say,
but she's tall and she fought me.
I do remember a thing I meant to do, which I didn't. But since it was all gonna be off screen anyway, can I timey-wimey it a bit?
Pitch, probably, but pitch.
Like, only because Talandra was concerned about the outward perceptions as well as the inward perceptions. She wanted to ping the local families just to be like, what's your take on these three people? Even if it's just like, who? Or we like them. Like, literally, it was more that if all the families went, oh god, not Kvek. Oh, Kvek's
local Klingon house, neighboring Klingon houses, rather, or Hatorian big peasants.
No. Like, I guess local Klingon houses, and maybe if she could ping Kronos for, like, the capital, like...
Yeah. Make me a rapport check. I'm not going to make you make a contacts check. That skill, as we know full well, is either useless or OP as fuck.
Yeah. Captain rolls 6 on...
We've never had a contacts check yet in this game.
Oh, sorry, audience, in another Fate game,
Oh, yes.
we have a character with high contacts, and it's always like, I rolled a 10. I know everyone.
I can get through any obstacle by smooth talking. So I thought you meant literally captain, and I was like, no, someone hasn't
not appearing in this
Captain, yeah. Oh.
Talandra got +8.
Jesus fucking Christ!
So Talandra's top 3 skills are empathy, pilot, rapport.
I think that Izzy has done something to my dice, and there's just this energy.
In writing, Talandra's quite good at writing to Klingons. She's very good at going, because she's the sort of person who can write and rewrite and write and rewrite. But in person, she's like, oh, stop yelling! I don't understand.
Okay. Right. So is it just generally now I need to think about this. Is it just generally trying to figure out what the fuck the different houses would think of the three of them?
Yeah, I think it's what they think of the three of them, the sort of the lay of the land regarding, like, Talandra looks at everything kind of like a connected web thing, and it's more like, if House Ratek were led by one of each of these three, how would it affect their relationships going forward?
Okay. The more military, the Klingon Defense Force contacts that Talandra can, like, some experienced liaison officers of the Klingon Empire who are prepared to give their opinions. You get very mixed reports on Kvek from them, and it really seems to be a case by case of what is that personal Klingon's stance. They all speak of her being being an excellent warrior who has won many victories. Some just give that as an absolutely unconditional singing of her praises. Others, and you'll get this because of such a good role, will, like, very heavily, politely, but very heavily compare her somewhat unfavorably to her brother. Like, make a big... She was great, but, like, you know, Macag was better in a way which feels pretty pointed, and sort of discuss she was always capable of achieving success, but didn't necessarily... They slightly politely say, but didn't necessarily care as much on her methods. No one is going to outright call her a dishonorable dog in a reply, but from the way that they do apply conditions to her deeds, that's a pretty big deal in Klingon diplomacy, that they are gonna even say that much. So yeah, there are absolutely military Klingons who have some significant concerns. Pretty much all of them have an opinion if they've heard of if they've had reasonable cause to hear of Kvek. Pretty much all of them have that kind of opinion. Either she's really good, or she's really good but also a bit war crimey. The attitudes to Judim are quite interesting. The majority of the military people who discuss Judim discuss him of having very evidently been a very competent officer serving aboard his brother's ship. It is polite. You don't think it's damning with faint praise. It's just that's what he did. He was a weapons officer on his brother's ship and he served ably. There are a few who talk of Judim having done very impressive specific deeds in the Dominion War. And with that role that you've got for being such an excellent info gathering, you're pretty sure that you've read records and other people have mentioned things giving credit for those deeds to Macag, but there are a few Klingon military officers who are saying, oh, like Judim won this excellent battle at X and Y. You get a very, very narrow set of replies of any of them who've heard of Luth.
Hence why she reached out to Kronos as well, because they might be like, oh yeah, Luth. Yes,
which is mostly comes from Kronos. Like, yeah, I suppose really the military and Kronos reports are much the same. Especially as you can get, where did he study? He studied in the Kether Institute. And yeah, you pretty much get the dealio on it. He studied at the Kether Institute, was an excellent student and an excellent researcher. He was a trained engineer. He had a significant research and development job for Klingon High Command. You will learn, and he tried to lobby the post-war High Council for and the High Council are responsible for further developing like internal infrastructure on medical research in the Empire, and he bypassed. There are some disapproving of the boy doesn't understand protocol properly. He spoke out of turn, and was dismissed from his position as a result. And that was 3 years ago. So there's a lot of people going, who? There are some kind of stuffy seeming military and science types who don't like him, and others speak that he was an excellent researcher and scholar and servant of the Empire in his particular way. But largely he is an unknown.
So I think Talandra is going to, she's got her little lens, she's going to focus in on the Macag-Judim battle.
With possibly some further insight within that, as you get really similar stuff all around, but you do get replies back from the House of Hek, which are the GK, H-E-G-K. But I wrote it and then didn't think about how I was going to pronounce it. So
Hek
House
House.
of Hegek. I'm going to stick with Hegek, which is terrible, but better than Hek.
Hek House?
Hegek. House of Hegek. It's not good. It's not good. I wrote it. I didn't say it. The house to which House Ratek is sworn are not fans of Kvek, and are largely bigger fans of Macag. You get the impression that they knew and worked with Macag very closely. And that is maintained from certainly all the upper echelons of the house and its infrastructure. There are, however, a couple of faces, younger ascendants within the house and the local Klingon politics, who are giving you those fairly similar stories about Judim. The opinions there on Luth, they're a little bit more prepared to speak more freely because they clearly have more significant personal relationships with the house. And a lot of the talk is that Luth seems a very able and committed young warrior, young man, and it's almost that we'd like to see more of him. We don't really know what to make of him, is the gist there, but nothing negative.
Okay. Then I guess the scene that starts is Kantos outside Talandra's ready room office. Like she's in her room, she's not in the captain's room. You know, the door swishing open, them in their sort of temporary cast thing that's very sci-fi. And like walking in, Talandra sat there looking at a screen, looking as usual, but micro expressions are perplexed. And will hand a pad to Kantos, which will contain the Judim facts, and go, Lieutenant, what do you make of this?
Interesting.
It is not an isolated incident. I've heard many stories that reflect this recollection.
Well, what do you make of it?
I'm not certain I do.
No?
I think we may need to speak with Judim again.
I think you might be right.
There is a disconnect there. I have a strong impression that there is something we are missing. Which I do not care for.
Quite.
Because currently Kvek is looking like a less and less likely option.
Oh?
She is popular in some circles, unpopular in others, but...
That we knew already.
Of course. But House Hegek, who are the house that House Ratek is client to.
Not fond.
Compare her very unfavourably with her brother, which everybody seems to, but they cannot...
More so than...
They cannot seem to surmount that obstacle as easily.
Right.
I am uncomfortable making a decision while this question of Judim hangs.
Yes. What about Luth? Anything on him?
Nothing more has changed regarding our decision on Luth.
Fair enough.
I have promised him that I will ensure that his time away from the lab is well telegraphed and short. You received my report on the progress they have made with the TUGH'NON.
Yeah, I did.
That also concerns me, that there is someone who is acting against this house.
Yeah. How much of a problem that is and what kind of problem that is, I guess, will depend on where the damn things come from.
It may well be that it was an accident, or a broad attack, or very targeted. But until we know...
Also makes a difference whether it's come from somewhere else in Klingon space, another Klingon house, or whether it's come from outside Klingon space and is Another party.
Given the circumstances, Luth is looking into it, but I am pleased that Lieutenant Casey and Ensign Strange are also monitoring the situation, in case Luth had any hand in it, which we have no reason to believe, but it is important to bear in mind.
Important not to rule it out until you're definitely sure.
He certainly has the skill, but I do not think the will.
I doubt he would. It doesn't seem his style. It seems way too elaborate a setup for the kind of thing he'd be after. But yeah,
Nevertheless,
can't rule it out until we're definitely sure.
Nevertheless, there remain many questions unanswered, and while those questions remain unanswered, personally, I do not think we can name a successor.
No, I agree. I don't think we've got enough of... We know enough to know that we're missing too many of the pieces to make a call, is where we're at.
Which means we should return to the house. Ensure that nothing has developed while we have been away, and sit down. And if not, I think we...
Yes.
Okay. I will, we'll skip to Science Boys and then back. Although I will elaborate, the Jachuk as the big public say your piece does not need to be immediately followed by a judgment. That doesn't need to be like you could do that. I get that why you'd want to do a discrete questioning first, but that is not.
We don't have to go. It's not a The Voice thing where we're like, yes,
yes.
No.
It is not that.
Boo.
So, but also, if we're going to be like, I want to be able to go, you've just said a lie.
Yes, absolutely.
You didn't do that. That was you.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Kantos.
This is not panto energy. This is the wrong energy.
Sorry, Commander.
Macag's behind you.
So, back in the science lab, Luth has brought a whole bunch of fucking shipping manifests and that information, requested it from the big docking port, which has been dumped with Strange. And it's time for, thankfully, normally it would be pretty difficult work to try to, genetically alter a frickin' bee for this purpose. But as Luth has stated, the lack of particular biodiversity in Hatoria makes this, and the fact that you really just want to make sure that you can introduce a lot of these bees at once, which can then die without causing complete and utter havoc, is a relatively straightforward prospect. So let's start with a science check from Casey. In fact, hang on before you worry too much. Let me do a quick assist from Luth, who does manage to, whilst not rolling enormously well, still creates the aspect of, assisted by Klingon scientist, so you can make your science check. It is a difficulty 3, which is, otherwise it can be done, but will take longer. I would say is really the consequence, unless you really fuck it up. Okay, don't fuck it up. It's fine. So you can get to work on creating new bee life.
I was muted for the stream.
He got a 6.
It was a 6. Get out of there.
I'm not in there.
Luth.
I didn't. No. I'm getting in here. I'm not.
Where's me? I'm not in anything.
I'm getting a coffee.
I'm a hungry Klingon.
I'm getting a Ractagino.
I'm getting a Ractagino, and I don't want to go to my recital. You can't make me.
So, meanwhile, then, can we get an... it's going to be an investigation check off Strange.
Yep, that seems legit. Swap stats. I think you'll find I do get to go back
getting coffee. So it is a difficulty 1 with the possibility of bonus information, depending on how well you roll. A 4. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Flat 0 on the dice, but
oh, he's good at investigation. Nice.
yeah, it's good at investigating.
You could
All the people skills are like middle to low.
That's true. You can chart the fuck out of this. Like it's a good reason to do it in the science lab, because there is a lot of information which is best viewed with big screens.
Give me a big old map to plot things out on.
Yes. And with the timeline and with the idea of shipments which you'll want, what possibly could have delivered it at this point in time, and especially anything which had any shipments which were due for the 4 major settlements in which the TUGH'NON was detected as having been appeared. And there is, with that, you find a few which could potentially do it, but you manage to figure out, like, okay, well, however, that one did have something which was destined to end up at this other settlement, but that actually, if I dig it a little deeper, didn't actually get delivered until a couple of days later, so it can't be that one. So with that, like, you really managed to narrow down the field, because not very often do things come and get delivered to across Hatoria. That's a slightly more unusual one.
Yeah.
So
finding something that could have, given that the TUGH'NON has spawned in several places almost at once.
Yes.
Has to be one of those.
You find an Orion ship, the Emerald Fortune, which they gave a delivery of blood wine which was then sent on to these 4 settlements. And it matches the timeline. Pretty much, it is the best one to match the timeline for it. Even better than that, with that roll, and also spending the help I received from Lazy Honeybee for a particular bonus. You didn't just...
Lazy Honeybee helped with the B plot.
Actually, technically, this isn't. This is the. This is
the A plot or the B plot?
This is the A plot. But not even the B. It's not the B plot though.
Yeah, but it's the Science Boys plot.
The Science Boy plot. That's true. The Science Boy plot, which. Strange managed to get his mitts on. Because this is a Klingon world, and thus awfully a bit nasty and mean and authoritarian, etc. in a lot of ways. The Emerald Fortune had to also left records of their intended flight paths and shipment deliveries. So the other thing that Strange can find out is that, sure, the Emerald Fortune is the best match, and it should still be in the sector. Having done more deliveries and various shipments and business in Klingon territory.
Has it done more? It's done more deliveries since it dropped off the possible blood wine laced with fungus here.
Yes, it dropped it off. It did other things. It's left the sector, but it should be passing through. It's left the sector. It hasn't been going far. It clearly does a lot of border work.
Yeah.
And it should, however, have gone away, like a couple sectors over, not back to Orion territory, but should have returned to this sector.
Yeah. Okay. Because what Strange is kind of wondering is now, is it just Hatoria that's just reporting this problem, or have any of the other Klingon worlds that the Emerald Fortune has gone to reported this?
Good news is that there is no indication that it was traveling to any agricultural planets. In fact, with the manifest, you've got we were delivering this blood wine from here. We did pick up some agricultural equipment from Hatoria for just a minor shipment, which we took to this other world.
Traded wine for tractors.
Yeah, they've done their trading game. So it doesn't appear. It is possible, but you've not received any reports, and it doesn't look like they are. There's no indication to think they're going around systematically infecting planets with fungal spores.
But even if they were doing so, like, unintentionally, it's still like, nope, they've suddenly left this trail of problem across Klingon space.
Thankfully,
and I guess we're going to have to go and take these bees to space.
the advantage
not gonna have
of
to do that.
Hatoria being the breadbasket is that there aren't that many other major agri-worlds in the region.
Yep. Grand.
So yes, the Emerald Fortune.
Ooh, Strange will pass on relevant information to Luth, Casey, and send a note to Tilandra going, Orion ship, Emerald Fortune.
We need to find that ship.
Fortunately, it shouldn't be too far away. It seems like they do a lot of border work and that they should be within the sector still.
We could... I have the authority to, as son of Ratek, I have the authority to give orders to the Kutluk, the bird of prey in orbit.
Mm-hmm.
We could get decontaminated. We could beam aboard the Klingon. The Kutluk is a BUROV class. It contains the biofilters necessary for us to be safely transported, or take a shuttle and conduct all necessary safety precautions. We could go to the Kutluk, and I can give Captain Torkar the orders, and the three of us could go in pursuit.
Yes. Sounds
Yes.
much more agreeable than us trying to get the authorization to take the Iskandar.
Certainly sounds easier.
I'm not sure the Iskandar could have the jurisdiction to apprehend.
Exactly.
But the Kutluk would.
Yes.
I can give that order.
I'm in full agreement of this plan.
Yes, excellent. Then I'm going to go and see about making those arrangements, and you should inform your commander. And I would like the both of you with me.
Of course.
As we undertake this next step.
I will let the commander know.
Yes, thank you, Lieutenant Ensign. And this will take some time to continually finish the genetic sequencing on the bees.
Of course.
But we should get this done. Yes, thank you. And this, like, full of
Klingons out the room.
I could do that. Klingons out the room.
Okay. I suppose now I need to tell the commander the plan.
Yes, that is definitely a thing that we should tell the commander before we get on the bird of prey.
Yes. I'll go find her.
You leave the room for 2 minutes.
Commander, we're off on a school trip on the bird of prey. Luth said we could do it.
Take your inhaler.
Inhaler?
I validate.
We hardly know her.
They've been validating Luth.
Good. That boy could do with some validation.
Oh, he's the most validated.
This is better
Certainly
than,
out of the three of us, he's the most validated.
it's better than your plan of attack Luth.
Be yourself. We believe in you.
B.
Hey!
Wild mountain time.
Yeah, Casey, we'll find Tilandra.
Sandra has said off, you'll have to calm her. But, like...
Oh, it's easier. Lieutenant Casey to Commander Tilandra.
Yeah, you're back at the hall. You've got, like, some tea. You're probably sending Mahet to go hunt down Jadim for the two of you. But, yes, and your combat goes with that.
Tilandra, here, go ahead.
We have a lead that we are wanting to pursue on the Orion ship that has likely been the origin of the TUGH'NON.
Orion, you say?
That's right, isn't it, Kath?
Yes,
I'm doubting my own words. Yes. We naturally, as the Iskandar, would not be able to approach with any degree of jurisdiction, but Luth has come up with the idea of if we were aboard the... He gives the name of the bird of prey. Yes.
Kutluk.
Kutluk. Kutluk. A bird of prey in orbit. We would be able to seek out and approach the vessel with the relevant jurisdiction of Klingon space.
Does that chime with what Talandra understands about the political situation regarding?
It is the Kutluch is the KDF ship. It is in orbit, and Luth as a noble Klingon who can argue. Even if he's within the sector, he's got a lot of pull. And considering he can go, this is to do with Hatoria, and I'm the noble Klingon son, so I get to be in charge. And the KDF ship, you know, they've got a captain to probably make sure he doesn't go too fucking wild. But yes, they absolutely. Luth can do it, especially with the Klingon captain. And there's no problem with Starfleet being there. You know, that's not going to be assuming they don't do something stupid.
So really, what's happened is that Luth, on behalf of House Ratek, is like, Captain, we're going to do this thing, we're going to do that, and the sad boys are like, let us come along, for we are working together on this, and like.
Yes, I mean technically Luth has asked.
Luth has it, yeah.
Luth has asked what?
Luth asked for the sad boys.
Fine, but you know what I mean. Like, it's one of those things where it's like they are there as observers at the behest of Luth, and Luth is doing this, and it's allowed, and that's fine. Then Talandra just, this is a micro expression of Talandra going through all this information, then just goes, "Carry on, Lieutenant. Please keep me appraised of what happens next.
Very well.
And be safe."
Yes, of course. You too. Like, you know,
and then I said you too to the captain.
Love you.
Yeah, you know, like when a delivery guy gives you your food and they say enjoy your dinner, you're like, you too. Oh, fuck.
She's not going on a bird of prey. Oh, I'm a fool.
Oh, beans. That's a new mortification I get to think of while I'm trying to sleep at night.
Okay.
It's a big list.
So, Talandra and Kantos, you want to, presumably in your little suite of rooms, have Mehed bring Judim to speak to you?
What of that psychotropic tea? I want to get.
You want some of that?
I want to get
wrecked. Get riggedy wrecked.
Get riggedy wrecked, and then we'll talk to Jadim.
Hey, Jadim, why are you lying, bro?
Okay. Stoned Talandra is a whole thing. Yeah, you can. Judim replies because Judim is all amiable assistance. Mehet will escort him up.
Sure he is, the lion.
Mehet will wait outside, and Judim will sit down. Arbiters, how can I be of assistance? I must actually say, Lieutenant, I hope you are feeling well after your bout with my sister.
Dr. BUROV has done a fantastic job of putting me back together after your sister's handiwork.
The fact that you stood up to her, gave her a run around the field of battle, I think speaks very well for you, Lieutenant, sincerely. So,
Kindly.
What can I do for you?
Jadim, we had some questions regarding your war record.
By all means.
And like, while Talandra is talking, she is going to be like unnervingly laser Vulcan focusing on his expressions because she doesn't mind if she's unsettling.
Before we then dig into that, I will want you to make a roll. Presumably Talandra is the primary, although we can. Are you just trying to read him, or are you going to try to weasel information out of him, or charm information out of him?
Talandra is initially trying to read him.
Okay.
To see if there are any bits that are like make him uncomfortable, or that he's like smarming over.
Okay, then we'll go with that, and you can roll at the end, depending on what you think.
Okay. Oh, roll at the end.
Yeah, well, because for the empathy, I'll let you roll at the end.
Okay. Well, I just rolled, so I'll just keep my roll until.
Sure. Yeah. That's fair. If it was going to be provoke or rapport, I would, ask you to roll and then handle the conversation.
Currently, what Talandra is going to do is she is going to lay out the facts.
Right.
And like, she won't name names, but she'll be going, a member of this house, a member of this organization, a member of this has said this, and like, she is going to be basically reading it out kind of like a rap sheet, even though it's technically going, you did this good thing, you did this great thing, you did another great thing. And we'll do the equivalent of, like, watching his expressions and then setting her pad down and go, would you care to explain these discrepancies to us?
Make me then. Sorry, what was your empathy result?
5.
Okay. Right is good. Okay, yeah, you beat his check. He I assume this is kind of the so and so said that you did this, but also so and so has said Makarg did this without naming names or putting anyone in it.
It's what she's doing is pure facts, and then would you care to explain? Like she's doing no synthesis on this at all.
He is obviously a bit taken aback and a bit squirmy at this. So like you get that whole there is before he replies there's that brief freeze before the smile comes of just plastering on a mask to plow through this. Well, Commander, what you're gonna be dealing with here, these are likely to be opinion pieces, I would expect, and really depend upon who's heard what stories. We do not write extensive after-action reports like I'm sure that Starfleet does. And so someone will have sung a song or told a tale over some blood wine, and then that story will have spread. So the idea that different people may have heard completely different accounts.
So when asked for factual accounts, you believe that the Marshal of House Hegek would spread misinformation?
I believe it is possible that the Marshal of House Hegek may not realize that he is hearing. I would not wish to in any way suggest that the heroic deeds of my brother were mine. Lying.
And of course, House Tikar and House Shireen, who famously do not agree with one another, would both have heard the same tale and spread it as fact rather than story?
I cannot account for what they have heard or why they would choose to repeat, or the circumstances of what they have
Jadim, are
heard.
you aware that as the arbiters of succession, it is important that you are honest with us so that we are able to make the correct decision?
Commander, all you've asked me to do is right now account for the opinions and words of others.
No, I am asking you, Jadim, to account for the story that we have been told. And tell us the truth.
Of course these were Makarg's victories. Of course they were Makarg's victories. He was the great and heroic warrior.
It seems to me that Makarg had no shortage of his own victories, and I do not fully understand why he should also claim yours.
I do not believe that is what has happened. I was there. He led most ably, and even any deeds of mine in war, at least some, if not even the majority of the glory, should go to Makarg.
Of course, being the captain of an illustrious officer is a great honor, but that does not mean that the officer does not get to claim the victories for themselves. And I wonder, Jadim, why it should be that despite being a noble and honourable Klingon and son of a great house, you are unwilling to claim your own victories.
I'm not saying that those were my victories. I'm saying that that has been reported to others. For many, people like to tell stories sometimes of a living hero, and Makarg is dead, and so I am sure that all sorts of warriors have told all sorts of things and attributed them to the living son of Ratek. Mistakenly, I would be confident. It's tales sung in bloodwine halls can not be taken as testimony.
Talandra, again, isn't going to say anything. She is continuing to look at him because silence breeds talking, but also because she is like genuinely trying to think, how do you handle this?
Like you actually really get more the vibe of not that he is continuing to cover up, but that he is trying to back the fuck away from a grift. Like he is trying to, his No, it was all, these were all McCarg's victories. Seems like someone who is backtracking from having been put on the spot, rather than someone who is doubling down once in a corner. You do not think that he believes they are his victories with that empathy roll. Commander, you catch me in an embarrassing situation here.
I am incapable of embarrassment, second-hand or first-hand, so I beg you to tell me.
Well then, Lieutenant, you've caught me in an embarrassing situation here.
If the presence of the lieutenant is uncomfortable for you, I can ask them to leave, Jadim. All I ask is that you tell me the truth.
It's a bit of a downer if you're telling a story of deeds of war, and it has to end with, and everything was done by my dearly departed, died in an unsavory and unfortunate and inglorious accident brother. So sometimes it is better to tell the story and to mention him less. It has not been an intention for me to steal my brother's glory. It is, as I say, about tales sung in blood wine halls. And there are only so many times you can tell a story about a deed in war, and right at the end of it, after you've told an excellent story, everyone wants to lift their tankards to toast McCarg. As you say, you've caught me in an embarrassment.
Talandra glances at Kantos. Oh.
Uh-oh. This might have... Who knows what's happened?
Casey walks in and says, kill him.
At the very least, this will have driven everything. Oh, no, Mike's system is smart enough to not turn everything to chaos.
Demons suck out his soul.
I'm not like half of Emily or anything now on the display.
Yep, that all looks like it's still working.
So...
Wrong voice, fuck's sake.
So you lied.
Storytelling, Commander. Lieutenant, surely you understand.
I understand how storytelling works, and I understand how there is a difference between purely telling the factual events of something and describing it in a better way for a story. But that's not to say that when you convert an event into a story, you change what happened. You keep the facts the same. Otherwise, well...
Is there some point to this, Arbiters? Is there anything more I can say? Can't hear you.
Hello!
Oh, no,
hello.
jeez.
The point is, Jadim, that in order to accurately make a decision, we needed to know everything. And when I reached out to other houses and Klingon representatives of Kronos, I was perplexed by the mixed reporting I was receiving. Any deception makes our jobs significantly harder.
I have not been lying to you.
Of course not.
I have...
And yet we are here to make a decision regarding the future of your house. And I want to make it very clear how this seems to us.
What this is that I am a capable warrior.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen and heard, doubtless by your little investigation, what Kvek needed to do in order to step out. I'm not deflecting.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen what Kvek needed to do in order so that she might step out from McCarg's shadow in war. grab some of the more desperate of our warriors, the hungriest of our warriors, the ones Makag wouldn't take, and she took them to war. And you must know by now that she did unspeakable things, which I'm sure are certainly distasteful to your Starfleet sensibilities, because they aren't really tasteful to the sensibilities of any good Klingon folk, just those who think that victory is the most honorable thing. I didn't do that. I didn't try to create a whole sword. I was just the hilt for my brother, my heroic, glorious brother, who is now dead. If he's alive, he can champion the name of the House of Ratek. He can utilize the stories and his grand deeds to gain further honor and glory and represent our house through that. I can't do that with Kvek, who has slaughtered the surrendered. And I can't do that when I have no deeds of my own because I served my brother. You might find this distasteful as a lie, but I have done what was necessary to be able to have the political weight which is necessary. And it is necessary because, as I say, Kvek is a butcher. Luth lurks within his cellar in his laboratory all the time, and my mother has become a recluse. No one will listen to me if I am Judim, who was also there when Makag did things. Doesn't matter how sensibly I served him, how ably, how patiently. So yes, I shared a little of my dead brother's glory because his glory will do nothing or will do far less for our house so long as he is dead.
Was there anything else you wish to tell us, Shadim?
Do you have anything else to ask?
It seems you've been a lot more open with us in this conversation, a lot more clear about what is and isn't the case, so...
And it is appreciated.
GM's point, but again, with that empathy roll, I won't strictly say that he is lying, but he is definitely believing an interpretation which is convenient for him to believe. Would be the best way of putting that.
Yeah.
It's very convenient that the best thing for him to do is to steal his brother's glory.
It's almost certainly more that he did it and then has rationalized it later and gone, oh, actually, I can turn this to an advantage. So he's not using it for an advantage.
Yeah.
But also, it was definitely after he did it because he wanted people to think he was great.
In fact, make me a quick... Izzy, make me a quick investigation check.
Investigation.
Difficulty 1. Because there is a factor here which Talandra may or may not have picked up from her paperwork.
Let's find
4.
out.
Oh.
Yeah, Talandra picks the fuck up out of that factor.
I've realised I'm not the social one in this situation, but I am the one with the conspiracy board.
One thing which Talandra will have picked up, in fact, she'll have been forwarded various reports as well, because she'll have asked blah, blah, blah. So some people won't have just written her from scratch their opinions. They'll have forwarded some things. A couple of the great deeds of Judim tales are from reports which predate Makag's death. Like, these people have heard this version, the version of events that made Judim the great hero before Makag was dead. Not like the majority, but like clearly he did this a bit.
Clearly
before...
started doing this before Makag was dead, and then it's just like, oh, guess Makag's not around to tell me to get fucked.
Yes. And that is definitely the ones told to the lower members of the House of Hegek. In fact, those are the ones which stand out. So yeah.
Talandra remains impassive,
Yep.
raises an eyebrow, and will say, if you have nothing else to unburden yourself of, then thank you for your time.
Thank you, arbiters. And rather huffily this time, Judim, his good-natured attitude gone, he leaves.
Good. Talandra couldn't cope with that. She can cope with Huffy. She can't cope with, it's nice to see you. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, Judim leaves.
A partially true tale, but I think told honestly.
Yes.
He is certainly not the selfless teller of tales that he portrays himself to be.
No. No, there's definitely better ways he could have gone about that rather than trying to pick up on his deceased brother's glories. Man needs to learn to be a better storyteller and work out ways of saying what he's actually done himself.
Indeed. But it means that once more our decisions are between a lying braggart and a borderline war criminal.
Quite. The choice keeps getting worse, really, doesn't it?
Talandra doesn't say it, but she's like middle distanced while she sips her tea, and just the if I were making a meme of this episode, it would just have yay.
Okay.
This is like the opposite of the both is good.
Are bad. Both are bad.
Neither
this
is
good. This is the exact opposite of that.
I am going to call a break then
Hooray.
at this point, and we will take up with the Sad Boys adventure.
Hooray.
School trip.
So see you. What up? We're back. I hope your teeth, your bones, and your skin are all where they should be. Not exploring that point any further, we are going to cut to pick things up where we were from the Sad Boys. It is possible. Well, Luth is well up for just beaming up to the Kutluch and putting his life in the hands of whatever transporter operator is on board the Kutluch to run all the biofilters on a military-grade ship and to take the more slower, more calibrated, but hypothetically riskier choice of beaming up rather than flying up. Are the sad boys going to object to what Luth wants?
I'm not afraid of teleporters. I'll do it.
Okay, transporters. Okay.
Sorry.
What could go wrong? What's the worst that could happen?
People are like,
Don't tell me.
I'm gonna roll, and if it's a critical fail, you die. No, I'm not gonna do that.
What's the worst that could happen? It's towards the end of the adventure, and Kath's not going to do transporter incident as part of the finale plot. That would be mad.
I rolled. It doesn't critical fail. Okay, really close. It was a 5 and 2, but like,
Fuck.
you could have died.
We came
That
this
could've been it.
close.
You could
This
have
close to death.
Yeah.
Standard
So-
issue use of the teleporters, to be honest. Like, I'm pretty sure Linkovich rolls a 5 and a 1 every time that he rolls for the teleporter.
But he's not under undue circumstances of the atmosphere being literally prohibitive to
That's true,
for
but
his
he,
transporters.
you know,
So.
it's probably always this close to a critical fail every time that he beams us on board the Iskandar.
Because, like, what's the percentage of, like, at what point in the percent? It was, yeah. Anyway, the three of you materialize on the transporter pad of the gloomy brown and reds of the interior of a Klingon bird of prey. Stood before you is the husky, weathered, eye patch wearing form of the captain, who looks pretty unimpressed with this entire appearance of three sad boys before him. And he looks up. I'm Captain Torka, captain of the Kutluch. Lord Luth. My instructions are to make sure that no ships will breach the quarantine, which I think you ordered on Hatoria. Luth steps down. I understand, Captain, and those were my instructions. However, the orders have gone out and there's been no indication of anybody attempting to breach quarantine. Not to mention, the USS Iskandar is on the surface and can respond in case of a crisis. What I need from you, Captain, is there is a ship that we must hunt. Ensign Strange. He reaches out for like a pad. He's clearly trying to get a thing so he can.
Yes, and Strange will hand over a pad with the information on the Emerald Fortune.
Thank you. My colleagues have identified a ship which may be responsible for everything that's happening on Hatoria, and I need you to take us to pursue that ship. Torkar takes it, looks at it, looks up at Luth, who's got that slightly manic kind of energy of someone who's trying confidence. Torkar goes, well, on your head, beard, if someone breaches quarantine while we're not here. I'll set us a course. It looks as if they're only going to be a few hours out, maybe a couple of days. Luth shakes his head. It'll only be hours if you set to maximum warp, and this is an emergency. As you say, Lord Luth. Captain Torkar pauses. You can use the wait in the mess hall, and I will call you to the bridge once we've intercepted the Emerald Fortune. Torkar leaves. Luth turns back.
That was very well done.
Thank you. Well, I was sure that he would see reason. Actually, I'm not sure he agreed with me at all, did he?
He disagreed, but he obeyed. That's the important part.
It is. Well, let's head to the mess hall. Have either of you been aboard a Klingon bird of prey before?
No.
Yes.
You haven't. And you have, Ensign. Let's just... I'm sure that I can give you a tour of these. These are absolute marvels of efficiency in design. Now, they'll find it very different because you're not dealing with a Starfleet ship, which obviously has much more multi-mission design. This is purely for war, speed, and scouting. And I know that might not be as appropriate to your sensibilities, but I think you still may find again, there is an efficiency to it, which I hope you will enjoy. And
they're certainly very impressively optimized for their intended purpose as spacecraft go.
Yes, I agree. They are not fit for a more variety of purpose, but these are military ships. So, please let me treat you to a tour.
And Strange will kind of gesture for Casey to go ahead, since it's Casey who needs the tour more than Strange does.
Yes.
Yeah. Luth gives you a tour, like, again with this I guess I'm allowed to be here energy. And they're not very big. These things have a crew of 12. Like, they are absolutely lean, mean fighting machines. Which, gives a little bit more like credence to the idea of all the stories they get to tell, because they really get to do Klingons do get to do that little band of brothers crap with their BUROV classes. And so, like, that'll fill a few hours, especially as Luth will happily, like, go, here's the engine room, and he is being more relaxed in this scenario, especially the more time goes on and nobody stops him, because he clearly engineering is actually one of his truest loves, rather than necessarily the biochemistry and shit he's been dealing with lately. And there are no stakes to this. So he will happily give a tour and, like, invite and encourage strangers' input.
I was going to say, Strange is probably going to be quite encouraging of Luth telling you all the ins and outs of what, not just what things are like on a bird of prey, but because Strange has some familiarity with Klingon birds of prey already. What's special about this particular one? What's different about it compared to what other birds of prey that he has seen?
Luth isn't particularly not that familiar with this ship personally, so it gets into a let's find out, and like chases an engineer out of the engine room to end up being like, let's take a look at the scans, etc., etc. And he is a young noble son, so that's the next few hours of the sad boy's
So proud of him.
life. And despite having been instructed to get mess hall, there is after quite a while. So like, there's a chance for the tour, a chance to sit down in the mess hall, get a bit of rest, go on more bits of the tour. Just wants to check out the biofilters aboard, especially considering the circumstances.
Not really worth checking those, to be honest.
So yeah, I guess that's the point where the comms go, and it is Captain Torkar notifying that the Kutluch has located the Emerald Fortune and is 10 minutes out from reaching. This goes, Lieutenant Ensign, if you'll join me on the bridge.
Of course.
Of course.
I'm not really sure what we're going to find here. I don't imagine either of you have that much experience of investigations of this nature.
Of this exact nature, no.
Orion's smuggling of of dangerous produce. Why they? Well, we shall see if we can sway them with reason and probably the implied threat of a bird of prey.
Of course.
Head up to the bridge, which is they're like much more sort of circular and central focused than a Federation bridge. It is a dingy, dark, there's always a bit of a tangy taste to the air, a kind of mixture of metal and sweat and blood on a gloomy Klingon ship, with the captain is much more central. Well, he's always central, but is even more central on a Klingon ship, with the opportunity of a viewer, which is a bit periscopy, and all of the officers lower and around, circling them at the bridge stations. But the view screen is on, and as you come in, Torkar will gesture to it to show that there is a Orion freighter, which appears to have come to a stop. And Torkar will lean back as the three of you arrive. Well, good news is that the Emerald Fortune didn't seem to want to cause trouble with us today. They've stopped. What is it that you want from them, Lord Luth? You want to talk to their captain? Board them? Luth hesitates.
I would suggest hailing first and foremost.
Torkar's, well, we've instructed them to stop. They're going to stop and wait for further instructions. You can, if you want to talk to their captain, you can do it from here. Luth nods. Yes, let me speak with the captain. As I do this now to myself, as hailing frequencies open, and he's a beefy Orion. Orion males are big and beefy. Bald, square-jawed Orion male. I'm Captain Harrod of the Emerald Fortune. Under what grounds has my ship been apprehended? My name is Luth, son of Ratek, the House of Ratek. Captain Harrod, we have stopped you as we believe that you delivered a shipment to Hatoria on X date. Is that correct? Right. Yes, I had a shipment and I delivered it. I didn't realize that was a cause for being apprehended by a bird of prey. I have submitted my flight route through the proper channels. I have followed those flight routes and I delivered the shipment. Was there a problem with the blood wine? No. However, I would like to know on whose behalf that was delivered, who made the order in the first place, Captain. Harrod shifts. I think private business exchanges are not really the sort of information I should be handing over directly to you, Lord Luth, son of Ratek. And as the Orion speaks on, Luth is wavering and hesitating. And Torkar leans forward. Captain Harrod, prepare to be boarded. I'm going to send my warriors over. Do not try to get in their way. And then we'll have a conversation again. So cooperate, stay at your posts, and we'll have a nose in. We'll decide what's important or what isn't. Cutler out. Torkar turns and looks at Luth. That's how you deal with Orions, Lord Luth. I suggest you wait until my warriors have got everyone facing the wall, and you can poke over every inch of that ship, or talk to the captain, or try to plow through their computer systems, whatever it is it takes. I'd like to get back to Hatoria as soon as possible. And Torkar heads off with gathering an away party and leaving Luth with you on the bridge with this bit of a skeleton crew situation.
That seems agreeable, yes. Once we've boarded, we will be able to most likely access their systems.
The Makmich is incredibly virulent and capable of surviving even on non-biological surfaces for some time. Whilst they may not, we don't know what knowledge they have of what they were shipping. It's actually possible they didn't know at all. Obviously, I want to know who ordered that blood wine.
Of course, it's still valuable to find out where that blood wine has come from, even if the Orion ship didn't intentionally bring the TUGH'NON to Hatoria. It's come attached to that shipment somehow.
Most likely. If I check their computer records, can I ask the two of you to conduct a sweep to try to identify the storage aboard? See, my thinking is if they didn't know, they may not have contained it. If they did know, they may have different containment facilities. Or they may have swept for it and we might not find anything at all. I'm overthinking this now.
We can't know until we look.
Yes. Let's head for the docking port.
Yes.
You'll head down towards the docking port as the Kutluch has come to dock in with the Emerald Fortune. There's a bit of a wait before Torkar gives the go-ahead, but it does seem as if the Orion did not give the KDF ship any trouble in the middle of Klingon territory when they ordered a boarding. And the three of you can step aboard. You'll be informed by Torkar that he's got Harad in his quarters. But Luth suggests that you split as he suggested, gather information before you speak with the captain. And he heads to go hit their computer databanks, leaving the two of you with the quite large, like it's a decent sized freighter. It has a sort of cockpit, small living area and a crew of again like 8 people, and then a large cargo bay. Leaving it to the two of you. It looks as if the Orions have been kept in their bunk rooms, so there is no sign of anyone aboard other than Captain Torkar and his Klingon warriors.
Well, let's start.
Cargo bay first?
Yes.
You head down to the cargo bay. It is about half full. It looks as if they are delivering some raw metal materials of some kind by the manifest, which does match up with what Strange dug up of their intended flight route. And I guess that's gonna be let's make it an investigation roll. I guess from both of you, or if one of you wants to try to create an advantage for the other.
Probably should have done that, but
Well, you're certainly Strange will find something. It's a difficulty one.
No. Wow.
Okay. You get out your tricorders to start off with, and go to town on your investigations. Now, it's a big cargo bay, so Casey is scanning, wandering around the gantry areas down below. Doesn't really pick anything up. What Strange starts to think is, okay, they were shipping this much blood wine. It wouldn't have filled up the entirety of their cargo bay, because it was like, 40 barrels kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where would it have been? And also by that, he starts to go, well, what about any of the smaller containment areas off the cargo bay?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if there's any concern, if they knew what they were shipping, of any containment. So it is Strange who comes across looking like a standard side, smaller storage compartment area, but gets to one of the doors, checks it. It is empty, but there is a brief hiss to the air as the door opens, and it opens like about a split second later than Strange would expect. As he steps back and double checks the control panel, this is a chamber which has some significant biocontainment equipment within it.
I see.
A scan of the interior does not reveal any indication of any Makmich, but in Strange's estimation, a room like this would have swept and nullified any if it were in here in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's investigating this, Casey can very helpfully confirm that there is no indication anywhere else in the cargo bay of it having contained Makmich. But Strange finds and assesses this. Make me an engineering check as well, Strange.
Yeah, I did have additional questions about this room, so that helps.
Okay.
9.
Okay, ask me your questions.
Well, the first one is quite a basic one. Is this room big enough to have held that much blood wine that was shipped?
Yes.
Could it have all have been put completely in this room?
Yes, like when I say like small, what I mean is the difference between a warehouse kind of thing and a storage locker.
And like a truck's worth.
Yes, it is that. And it's still blood wine barrels. It's not wouldn't have been a bus mat. It could have fit in there, yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many questions do I get with this?
You get, because it was a 9, you get like 5, and there's a special bonus if you don't stumble upon it. Which you get anyway.
Okie dokie.
Because I guess the answer is yes with that roll.
Sure. The way that the biofilter system on this room works, is it just the case that it will have like cleaned the room after use, or is it stuff goes in and as it's going in gets kind of cleaned of whatever you want cleaned off it, or on taking it out it gets cleaned off?
It would be on it because of the nature, and people might not want things, that it has a sophisticated cleaning system which would require activating, and thus it could do that. Which obviously could do it to stuff which is inside, but could be, depending upon what's inside, could wreck it.
So you might not want to. But it's not like it's not like the kind of biofilter where thing goes through door, stuff that's not meant to go through door does not go through door.
No. Someone would have had to have deliberately run
press the cleaning button.
Yes.
Okay. What else do I want to know about this? Oh, actually, yeah. Given so it's a biofiltering system. Does it have to be set up to like target a particular kind of thing of to do with cleaning off bacteria or to do with cleaning off mold?
Yes, because so that one could precisely store all sorts of things in there. Say if you wanted to keep biological matter in there, but keep mold off it, for instance, you can. There is the options for a filtration system of what it would filter off.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't just nuke everything inside.
Yeah, is it? Cool.
So it could be finely programmed.
Follow up. Does it have records of what it's recently been programmed to do?
It does.
Marvelous.
And if you go back to check for the dates, they actually just did a complete clean on it on dates which would match after the removal after the delivery of the blood wine. And there is no indication that it has been used since.
Okay.
What you also find by looking at that is the records of it only go back so far. This thing was only installed a couple of months ago. And
was it installed, in fact, just a bit before they would have transported this mysterious fungus-laced blood wine?
About a month, well, like, you don't have the full records in terms of when they picked it up, but
Sure,
it was delivered about a month ago, and it was only installed a month prior to that.
Okay.
And aside from it had seemed like some certain what you would recognize as maintenance usage and upkeep, there's only an indication that it was used and then cleaned properly once.
Just the once in the whole time that they've had it. Just relay information.
Yeah, Casey, you arrive to find Strange up to his elbows in this chamber.
Well, I found absolutely nothing.
I suppose technically I've also found nothing, but it's quite an interesting nothing.
Go on.
This room, or section of the cargo bay, has a biofilter on it. This room was only put in about 2 months ago, so about a month prior to the blood wine shipment, and has only been used once and has only had the cleaning process done to it once, shortly after they would have dropped off the blood wine at Hotoria.
I see. Well then, sounds like we have some questions to ask the captain.
It does.
Where are you two going next?
First and foremost, to Luth.
Yeah, find Luth first.
Okay. Yeah. Luth is on the cockpit bridge. Sitting over, he rolls pretty well. Sitting over a control panel and looks up, looking kind of weary. Lieutenant Ensign, I'm only having a little luck here. It seems as if this Captain Harad is very cautious with his communication records. It would take me some time, I think, to tear this apart. I'm not sure I can justify this. Have you found anything?
The ensign has.
So it seems in the cargo bay they have a separate section that was only installed a couple of months ago that is large enough to have stored the blood wine that was delivered to Hotoria and has a biofilter on it, so that any biological material that was put in it would be quite well contained and quite thoroughly cleaned out of that area of the cargo bay after use. The cleaning process was run shortly after the shipment would have been dropped off at Hotoria.
That is unusual. Not that I'm an expert on Orion trading vessels, but that level of sophisticated transportation equipment is unusual. Must be expensive.
The timings of it also are quite the coincidence.
I suppose with this I have grounds to try to strip their communication records off them, maybe detain them. But this could take time to decrypt, and I'm not sure that they'll necessarily have anything. We should see if we can get the captain to elaborate.
Yes.
How do you
How
do
would you like
this?
to approach that?
Oh. Well, I have no intention of attempting to. He's an Orion, he's a hardy individual, so physical force will only get us so far, and that is not particularly how I prefer to solve problems.
Certainly the simpler way would be if Captain Harrod would simply explain
Yes.
where the shipment came from.
He's still a mercenary type. He's still a freighter captain. It's unlikely that he has any true loyalty to whoever. Unless, of course, this is some scheme by the Orion Syndicate, but that's very outlandish. But then who would try to target my Hatoria like this? Maybe attempt to destabilize the economy of the... Let us assume...
Question Captain Harrod could answer, perhaps.
Yes, but why will he answer? Maybe if he... I suppose I will have to threaten him, but probably with arrest. We can evidence enough that, certainly by the Imperial standards, we can evidence enough that he brought it and shipped it over. So I suppose an exchange would be...
You do also have the more immediate option for a threat that doesn't necessarily have to be of yourself inflicting physical force, but you do have the warriors of the what's the ship called again?
Kutluk, Captain Torkal's warriors, yeah.
Torkal, yeah. The warriors of the Kukluk to hand.
Yes.
I would caution against that as a primary approach.
Oh,
Once
absolutely.
you have escalated, you cannot de-escalate.
Exactly.
Yes. It'd be, let's say, far simpler if this can be solved with a simple conversation.
I imagine
Conversations need knives.
That's true. I think
Not
if
literal.
we began our line of inquiry without revealing what we know about the cargo, then from there we'll see what the captain is willing to tell us, and then we'll see if we can get him on the ropes, as it were, with what we already know.
Yes.
But what do we have other than the cargo bay, just that we hunted? Can I ask you then, possibly start, Ensign, with, well, one of the two of you, because you found and explained from the shipping manifest the reason why we've stopped him. So if we start with that from yourselves, then we see. Right, let's go talk to him.
Yeah.
I was like, don't worry, I'm happy for Luz to, for you to try to inspire Luz to action. But
no, I think that's the way for it. If we do the primary setup and soften the captain up, and then Luth can do
then the rest of the time
one more thing.
Yeah, we'll soften the captain up. Luth can then come in for kind of the final blow, if you like. And then for that, we'll effectively be doing the equivalent of being behind him going, yeah.
This is the worst or the best adventure team from the Iskandar.
This is going to look so fucking good, because every warrior is going to see this. Every Klingon warrior, should this go well, is going to see this as Starfleet came bimbling along and were like, hey, there's something wrong with your shipping manifest. And didn't see it.
And then
Luth
was like, look, he just came in and just fucking chokeslammed the guy up against the wall.
Okay, checking the time. We are going to shift a scene. return briefly to the relief station.
I want you to
Victoria.
record this entire exchange with Luth, and then we can play it at the trial and be like, and that's why he's head of house now. Hear what your little
Hell
brother
yeah.
says.
So, Dr. Burov,
Hello.
you've had a very stressful day
No, I've
patching
had
up your best friend.
Oh yeah, that was quite stressful. But the other stuff was nice.
You've will receive a bit of a comms report from, and so as will Zal receive a report from Kowalski that he's setting up a bit of a drive around with Burial, which looks like it's turning into a delivery road trip through the city.
Road trip.
God, I forgot I existed.
I'm just checking in with the two of you, really. Like, I'm not. We last left Zal, so like Burov can return to the relief base station, and we last left Zal with a football. So
I like the idea that we never see the football match. We just tune back in and Zal's there and he's like ice pack on cheekbone, like, I think it went well.
yes, that is the situation that Burov returns to in their little makeshift sick bay. Is a few gently bruised and battered Starfleet and Klingon individuals, including Zal, after the football game to blow off steam. You can see to people's boo-boos and cuts and bruises.
Burov, likely, given that the booze and cuts and bruises are being handled pretty well, you know, the Klingons are like, no, and
Yes.
they're just like, okay, well, help yourself to lemonade, you know, whatever. Is going to come to Zal because Andorians can't take hypersprays, can they?
No.
So
Oh, no, they can. They can't be injected. They can't take anything intravenously.
That's
yeah,
what
but
a hypersprays.
we don't do anything intravenously. We only use hypersprays.
Let me do a quick Google before chat does.
I think that might be from Beta Cuck Cannon.
Lol beta.
Yeah, it looks alright. Whatever you want to do with the scene, frankly.
No, because I have to have facts. True facts.
Oh, fucking thanks. It's from the original series episode where the Andorians showed up. Like, neat. That's wild. Maybe that was true then, but you can use a hyperspray on them still because that would be wild because that's all that Starfleet medicine is. It's a hyperspray, and I feel this would have come up before now if you couldn't use a hyperspray on.
I'm pretty sure Zal's
Andorian.
actually had hypersprays applied to him during this game.
I don't know the context of which it came up in Whom Gods Destroy, but at the very least, I'm going to say certainly by the end of the 24th century, you can use a fucking hyperspray on an Andorian.
Fine. They have found that technology. Then Arcadia is going to walk in with whatever the equivalent is of like a packed lunch. Like, you know, it looks like it's sort of very medical, very technical, but like it will definitely be like a like medical blue branded little like case, you know, that will open up and everyone's like, oh, medicines, and it's like, no, lunch. And Arcady's gonna the equivalent, whatever the space equivalent is of the high protein gym bro lunch, and it's gonna pop it open and pop it on the bench and like go and get some like, you know, analgesic, anti-bruising stuff and like come back over and be a fast doctor.
Well, this is very welcome. Thank you.
Well, you had a busy looking day, it seems.
It doesn't sound like it's been as busy as yours.
Oh, it's fun. Look at me.
Medical alert.
Mm-hmm.
How did
Adina
that go?
Adina is fine, but unfortunately I cannot cure stupid.
One day.
They were very brave, and they did a stupid thing.
Is this an escalation of the wider situation that we should be worried about?
They don't seem to think so, but also the commander doesn't seem to think so. And given the circumstances, I trust the commander's judgment on this. I get scooch more than I trust the Dina's judgment on this.
Yes.
But apparently it had the desired effect, and the fight went well. And they only have a shattered collarbone to show for it. Which, I'm reliably informed, is the good outcome. So go figure. Arkady just casually injecting Zal's face.
I die because I can't take hypersprays canonically.
Shit.
Ah.
You're dead, lol. And of course, community outreach. That was fun.
Good.
I like community outreach. I should do more of it. It's difficult though when you're on a starship and you don't do a lot of this stuff.
I suppose a ship is its own community.
Well, I like to think I reach out pretty well. Arkady sits down and opens the lemonade.
You do.
I like to think that I do my job pretty well. And look at you. You made them play sports and now they're laughing.
I think that's a laugh. But yes, you do your job very well.
So do you.
Thank you.
But it's difficult, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I was a fresh-faced young doctor type, and I joined up for the Starfleet conversion course, and then they were just, you're qualified. We're putting you on the CMO track. Oh, there you go. Now you've had your placement on a ship for 4 months. You're a chief medical officer now, and that was very new and very strange. But I imagine different than serving as a second for a long time and then being promoted. What I'm trying to say is that I get it, but that I different get it.
I understand. And it is comforting to know that I'm not the only one that feels like they've been thrown into the deep end, even though on paper, to borrow a phrase, we look fully qualified to swim.
Do you think I'm a good chief medical officer?
I think you're an astounding chief medical officer.
Great! Because sometimes I wake up in the morning and I look at myself in the mirror and I go, Arkady, you're beautiful, but you're a fraud.
We Andorians have a phrase for that. Imposter syndrome. It's borrowed from an Earth phrase.
No, I'm gonna call it an Andorian phrase from now on. You came up with it first.
Yep.
Well, I don't think I have anything in my bag for that diagnosis. But I think lunch will probably help. Making sure to continue to have fun will definitely help. And if in doubt, giving a lot of Klingons a lot of highly combustible fuel. Which, looking back on it, may have repercussions. But as of right now, I am still calling it a good idea. Unless it goes badly, in which case don't tell Adina.
Your
I would like to sit on the moral high ground for just another day or so.
Our little secret.
Sorry, you were saying something and I interrupted.
Your idea is sound. You, as you rightly said, community outreach. If they decide to utilize the gifts that have been given to them in a unorthodox manner, that's not your idea.
The people needed something to do. If they decide the thing they needed to do was to light a lot of explosive fossil fuel fires, then the plan worked. For a given value of worked.
Yes.
Now that at least they wouldn't be fighting each other unless they used some sort of fossil fuel bombs. You know, I'm just going to drink my lemonade and not think about it. But
that's what good lemonade is for.
To a job well done.
Job well done.
And I'm glad that neither of us are responsible for solving the famine or choosing between noble scions of some house or another, because that just sounds exhausting.
Yes. We'll do fine right here.
In the distance, gentle explosion.
The house
Kowalski's-
is gone.
Kowalski's driving back. We just started a freaking coup!
The peasants are revolting!
And Arcady's like, thank God, it's revolution time!
So, back on the Emerald Fortune.
Oh, yeah, back where it's not gone all Mad Max.
Yes, that was last episode. Because I know Mike too well. I'm kind of proud of how well I know him, rather than guessing. Yes, so Captain Torkar himself is positioned himself outside of the room to the daughter Harad's quarters. But Luth says still be fine if you wait, and the three of you step into the room, which are opulent and comfy. There's that thing of bare walls, and then this drapes and delicious fruits on a bowl, and pictures of himself over his bed. Because he's an Orion freighter captain. What do you expect?
Exactly, this is what we expect.
But he's sat. Harad is sat at his chair. All right. So what can I do for you, Lord Luth, Lieutenant Ensign? I'm sorry, I'm Captain Harad. Wasn't expecting to see Starfleet with a Klingon noble.
No, we are currently assigned to aid the house in certain matters. We won't be too much of an imposition, I assure you. We simply wanted to follow up with some potential irregularities we've seen on the shipping manifests.
Mm-hmm.
We have a log here of a shipment about a month ago of blood wine. I was wondering if you could verify the amount.
40 barrels.
And this was contained in the cargo hold.
Yes. Where else would I put it?
It's true, yes. I just happened to notice that the cargo hold is segmented. Was there a particular area?
Yes. We tend to store. We have a new state-of-the-art, secure room for biological matter.
Oh. Wonderful.
Especially for food produce and high-end food produce. You know how are you very familiar with vintages of blood wine, Lieutenant? Especially if you need to then travel through atmosphere, which obviously is necessary for a location like Hatoria. It is optimal to keep it in a secure facility and chamber in order to make sure that traveling through the atmosphere, the pressure shifts don't unduly affect the blood wine.
And this was not transported down. You landed on Hatoria.
Yes, the difficulties in the atmosphere of Hatoria terraforming something require that all ships should land to deliver their cargo. Else, might lose the cargo in transport. All
You
the
have
crew.
the manifest to hand.
Sounds if I'm allowed to access my console.
Of course.
So, you want that particular cargo manifest?
Yes.
Prints it out and hands you a pad. It
This
was the only
becomes
thing
the
that he
plot.
was bringing. Yeah.
Do you do it often, the transporting blood wine?
Oh, no.
A new venture for you, then?
This particular one was, yes.
It's quite a
This particular
generous amount.
Well, I mean, as you say, it was a significant amount, and heading to Hatoria, yes. Generous amount. No offense meant, Lord Luth, I'm not going to comment on Klingon appetites.
I appreciate I cut Strange off there. Was there a follow-up that Strange was going to do?
Yeah, Stranger was saying this particular one.
Yes, it's a decent vintage. I often don't tend to deliver blood wine. I'm not going to look such delivering them. How a lot of houses, I think, grow their own. I'm aware that there isn't much of the grapes on Hatoria. I assume I don't really know why. I don't ask, whether or not I'm bringing sand to the beach, so to speak. Luth straightens at this, especially unless he gets any kind of a "no, we're not done" look from the sad boys. You delivered blood wine to my planet, which was then distributed to a series of relatively rural locations. Was that delivering it to separate buyers? Harad shrugs. No, I sold it to one individual on Cavern's Point. And I, again, don't really want to end up discussing the private commercial affairs of clients. You had installed a brand new secure facility for shipping of blood wine, which is not necessary passing through atmosphere, despite what you have to say for yourself, Captain Harad, to be delivered to the surface at Cavern's Point. This was installed mere weeks before you would have picked up your shipment, and then... And this is a shipment which we have reason to believe delivered the organisms which are responsible for the blight afflicting Hatoria. He takes a step forward. Harad shifts and the sort of looms in the... He's got enough wiriness in the dark to loom. I believe there are two ways in which this can proceed. The cat will kill you. Two ways in which this can proceed. I can detain you and we can rip apart this ship, all of your computer records, all of your comm records, to get the answers that we want. Or you can be more forthcoming, and we'll get that information anyway. Or if you do not, I will hold you responsible for the blight that is afflicting my world. Harad looks... Maybe an empathy check, you two. Difficulty 1.
Empathy check from the sad boys.
What's wrong with you? Come here.
Oh. I've actually rolled... Oh no, Strange actually has pretty decent empathy. That's a 5 from Strange.
-3.
Harad has Casey's gently racist. He doesn't understand Orion facial expressions. Strange. Harad looks scared, not strictly of Luth, but there's a consequences fear. But he also looks kind of confused.
Okay.
As he shifts, he looks... Lieutenant Ensign, your Starfleet. You're assisting in this investigation, correct?
Yes, we are.
Lord Luth, if you would beg me the indulgence, I would like to speak with your Starfleet associates privately. Luth looks at the two of you, kind of, what the fuck? If that's agreeable, Lieutenant?
That's agreeable to me.
I'll be outside. Luth steps outside. Harad slumps. Listen, Klingon and Imperial justice is no joke. So, I would like your assurances that if in exchange for my cooperation, you're not going to let them kill me?
Yes, you have my absolute
arrest me on your ship. Because there are two big, once this is over, because there are two big problems here. And one is just anyone doing this sort of shipment within Imperial space is going to get a rather short shift of this. And second, why the hells is the son of the woman who hired me to ship blood wine asking me who ordered the blood wine?
That, Captain, is an excellent question.
Yes, the blood wine which had on it a secured mycelial fungal infection spores on the barrels. Yes, I was hired for that by the Lady Ratek. I picked it up from a lab onto blood wine barrels, which she requested and she paid me for to bring to Hatoria.
I see.
So you understand why I don't want to disappear, because her son's trying to make this, loose end disappear.
No, of course I understand your concerns here.
The young lord is very reasonable, and we will be able to make... Frankly, as far as we are concerned, this is not going to be a situation that will see you executed.
Good.
There will be another means by which we can come to an end to this. The more you are active and helpful in helping us come to the end of this, the easier it will be.
You're Starfleet officer. I'm sure that you're an officer, a man of your word. Yes, Lieutenant? Excellent.
Yes.
I'm very happy to work with Star. Well, you know what I mean. I'd rather be in trouble with Starfleet than with the Empire.
In that case, may you indulge me a little moment to speak with Luth before he comes back in?
Please.
If you excuse me, Ensign. I'll
You
step
ensign.
outside.
Yep, you leave Strange in there with Harad, and Luth is outside.
Ooh. Transport dangerous substances often?
Lieutenant, any fortune?
Yes, there has been one term asked of us that if the captain is to be arrested, it will be an arrest by Starfleet rather than by yourself.
That would follow. He will anticipate that Starfleet will be more lenient. There may be some jurisdictional issues there. He's committed crimes against the Empire. I'm trying to think this through rather than trying to present obstacles. Certainly, in fact, I can certainly say that due to concerns due to the high stakes of his crime, that if we return him to Hatoria, that he can be within Starfleet custody.
Yes.
I would consent to that if he's being cooperative.
Yes. And given the nature of what he is about to tell you, there is a connection with other Starfleet duties going on at Hatoria, which will likely make it a little bit easier in terms of swinging this from a legal perspective.
Very well.
Jurisdictive perspective.
Very well.
Yes, he's prepared to cooperate with you and answer your questions on those terms.
All right. Let's see what he has to say. And Luth steps back in with Casey. Harad looks between. Do we have an accord?
Casey will nod. He doesn't vocally reply because he doesn't want to take the stage away from Luth at this stage.
Yeah. Stage. Luth looks. I understand that you must have apprehensions of imperial justice. I have no interest in being vindictive. If Starfleet detention is what will earn your cooperation, however, your cooperation had best be good. Captain Harad. Harad shifts. Well, my cooperation will be good, but either this is a bit of theatre for you, or you're not going to like what I have to say, my boy, my lord. I don't ask questions when I get confusing hires which seem political. So if you have follow-ups, don't think I'm going to be able to answer them for you, because I did not ask many questions when I was approached and asked to deliver to pick up from a lab near Vondam a lab-created fungus which would have been applied to a shipment of barrels of blood wine. Because it's Vondham, that's in Federation territory, so if you want to get all retributive-y about where I picked it up from, you can get me on that, crossing the border with it. Excellent. The original crime, if that's a crime, might have been committed in Federation territory. Splendid. I'm not sure if it was a crime or not. I don't know the nature of the genetic alterations.
That's the most Orion shit you have done in this entire roleplay. Holy shit.
God, he just gets denser the longer you hold him. And yes, I brought it across to deliver to Hatoria and delivered it into the hands of someone. The person I delivered it to was not the buyer who arranged to receive this afflicted shipment. I delivered it to one Marshal Sihar, as I was informed, to be gifts for leaders. The expression on your face, I'm going to skip to the end, and I was paid to do so by your mother, Lady Ratek. Luth stares and stares some more. Before I'm going to believe that, I'm going to need you to give me access to evidence, your communications. You'll have exchanged them. They will have they'll have used the subspace beacons, which will confirm. Yes, my lord. I will do that. I will provide you with the necessary paperwork to implicate your mother. That can be done. Lieutenant Ensign, can you see that he does that?
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Do you need... I'm going to go consult with Captain Torkar.
I think that would be wise.
Yes, we'll make what arrangements we need to here.
This information doesn't need to leave this room. Obviously, I'm sure you'll report it to your superiors, but I mean...
Yes.
Absolutely.
The crew of the Kutluch
Understand.
should not, including Captain Torkar, should not know this.
Understood.
Especially until it is unverified. It'd be absolutely
Understood.
unacceptable if a whisper of this gets anywhere until we have been able to verify any of the communications exchanges, and just not take the word of this.
Look, we will not speak of this until you give us permission to speak of this.
Very well. Excuse me. Luth leaves. Harad. That could have gone worse.
That could have gone a lot worse. However,
sorry, you go.
we will now need those communications.
Oh, I know what's like. My bread is buttered now, and it's yours.
I have two pads. I've got the one he gave me with the original manifest, and I've basically opened the app that is basically already communicating to my pad. And basically, I say, if you would.
Of course. Allow me to assist you and show you everything I have, Lieutenant. Thank you. And as Captain Harad goes to dig out the various communication records on his ship, which he claims implicate Lady Ratek as having orchestrated the entire blight upon the planet of Fatoria, that is where we will end things tonight.
Well,
Kath!
How diggity shit! How deep does this conspiracy go?
well. Well.
Turns out the poison was sent by Kalis himself.
Kalis, I was going to say, it's not like I had particularly set up like a long suspect list of someone deliberately did it.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I'm terrible at whodunits, so I was just like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
No, I like pretty much as soon as we got to the point of we're going on to the Emerald Fortune to find out where this blood wine came from, my thought process was, okay, this is going to be from one of the 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, all the stuff that you had set up of, you know, they had the shipment and they were told to bring it and all that. But I did not think it was going to be Lady Ratic. I was like,
for a short period of time, I thought it could
Jadim's
be
too
Luth.
obvious. Yeah, I was thinking, like, Jadim's too obvious a choice, so it won't be Jadim. Could be Luth, but that seems unlikely.
For me, my thought
I
for
was thinking
Luth
it could have been Quebec.
No, my thought was, if it was Luth, it would be so Luth could solve a crisis and go, see, mother, science did save the day, mother.
Yeah,
Like-
that's also legit. But
Yep.
no. Maybe
That's how
she
Luth-
set it up so that Luth could go, science could save the day.
No,
We'll find out
I
next.
think she set it up so that Starfleet would have to come and fix the thing, and she could go, make a choice, Starfleet, and like either make a choice, Starfleet, see how Starfleet makes bad choices, or like she just didn't want to have to deal with the
What a
consequences
terrible kid.
to cover up the fact that she murdered Macabre because she wants to screw over the Klingon Empire by sending one of her shit children to run the house.
I think killing her own son's a bit of a weird game.
No, I think she's playing the long
I'm not
game.
saying you're wrong. I'm saying it's a bit of a weird game for her to play.
But she clearly raised a fucking pair of idiots as her children. She raised 2 good kids, 2 shit kids, and then was like,
Quebec's not stupid.
she's an
She's an asshole.
She's an asshole, and
War criminal.
she's a war criminal. And
Yeah.
This is what happens when you have a very good warrior who's only number 2, and thus like does not get enough validation while being very good at killing things. Is not a good combination.
God,
No.
Other
I'm
person.
so
It makes me
glad.
just try harder and harder to kill things.
I'm
And
so
then
Hashtag
try
glad.
too hard.
Hashtag Urizen problems.
The hashtag urges and problems, absolutely.
I'm glad she fought you. As I looked at her, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to fight that Azal, and she's gonna win. I'm gonna get wafted to oblivion." But no,
No, it's fine. The Riker will deal with this situation, not the war.
You know me too well, Mike, for me to do that to you, because you know too well. Here's the unwinnable fight. The trick is how you face
How
it.
you lose it.
Yeah, you know that's one of my things, and I can say that because I can't pull it again now.
I don't know. You might.
It's true, but it's Klingon.
We might
so...
have. We might have to fight Lady Ratic next as the final boss. of this
I
adventure.
will. It'll be a mum throwdown.
Mom fight.
You-
Mom fight.
You
Mom
have
fight.
wasted my time. You
Mom
have
fight. Mom fight. Mom fight.
You have made me put my himbo pilot at risk for your
Bo.
You put my Thembo pilot at risk for your fucking stupid children. I am taking Luth and I am leaving. I'm leaving this shitty planet. I hate you. I hate this. I had to watch a fight and now I'm fighting you and I hate you because I'm a
This is
pacifist.
how Talandra gets shot in the head.
I'm just picturing like the Iskandar crew basically walking up to Quebec and going, "Oh, Mum can take your mum."
She won't win, but she might still get shot in the head. Because that's what happens. Talandra has not been critically injured yet in the session that I'm running. I suppose she didn't get critically injured in the right stuff.
Also, here's the thing.
Everyone else did.
She might not win. Ratek's older than Ratek's pretty old, and Talandra's in the prime of Lib.
Prime of Live, yeah.
And,
no, it's true.
also, Talandra's got Vulcan strength and mum strength.
But so does Ratek have mum strength.
Yeah, but
and
her,
Klingon
yeah,
strength.
but I'm protecting the crew of the Iskandar, who are my children. She's
Yes.
protecting what? Judim?
No one's protecting Judim.
Like
no
Talan-
one likes Judim.
Not even Judim's protecting
Talandra would
Judim
look over her
anymore.
shoulder and see the sad boys and see Kantos and think, yeah, I've got something to fight for. And Ratek looks over her shoulder and
for
sees
the kids.
Quebec like,
I can guarantee you, thankfully, that my ambitions is not the end boss fight, a geriatric Klingon. that's the yeah, like
That implies that the end boss fight is either a different Klingon or a
Or
different
different
species
geriatric.
geriatric.
So I think I can safely say
That
that
actually was
next
a
session,
Dorian all along.
Next session.
next session will be the last.
Hooray!
Because yeah, I will make it the last, frankly.
Okay, well, that's us. We're done. Mike, end the stream. Mike, end the stream. Mike, where are you? Where have you gone? You got to end the stream.
Yeah, tune in next week to see what the Iskandar crew do with this information, and if they find out an explanation for why Ratek has allegedly done this.
Mum fight.
Over to you, Izzy.
Hello. Oh no, you said over to me and then I started stretching. Oh, I'm getting
Patron.
I shouldn't let her talk because weird noises come out every time I delegate that.
I mean, that's true of me talking all the time. I am made of weird noises. So,
Meanwhile, back at the conversation about feet.
meanwhile, back to the conversation about feet. So, Roomba, thanks for giving us that talk about how to sell pictures of your feet on the internet. Tune in next week when Michael will talk you through how to take the perfect dick pic. For yourself, not to send to people. Dick pics for self-esteem, not dick pics for random strangers on the internet. So tune in next week for dick pics for self-esteem with Michael.
Do the patron list.
No! I'm
Okay.
holding this stream hostage. That being said, we have to thank some patrons who support us, even when we say shit like this. Yes, I'm saying we. I'm involving all of us in this. You let me talk. You let me talk, which means you are all complicit in the nonsense I say. I was the war criminal all along. And do not forget, again, that on the 19th, we'll be doing our charity stream. Raising money for the relief efforts in Gaza, and that'll be great. That'll be an important thing. It'll be a fun old time. And although I have not picked what I'm running yet, Sable asked if he could describe it as high concept and spooky. Which, yeah, like whatever I run will be both high concept and spooky. So trash bags in the chat, if you will, please, for these lovely people. Charity Wars Gaming, Dinkledore, The Armchair Egyptologist, Ken Poiner, Kiwi Toko Aker, Photosynthetic Elegos Alexander, Liz Murphy, Michael Kreese, Andre Cherubnin, Joe, Lou Sutcliffe, Araloki, Socky, Henry Prestige, Caffeine Kitty, Hobbs, 138, Professor of Dick Picology, Mike Kilburn, James Muffy Malloy, Michael Fielding, Michael Bowman, and of course everybody's favouritely named member of the trash crew, the one, the only, the absolutely fantabulous Helena Handbasket. Good night, everyone. Look after yourself. We love you. We love you. Bye-bye. We love you.